Right now, crypto is kind of like a storm building out at sea. The wind is picking up, the sky's still quiet, and you can kind of feel it. No one's really doing anything. The chart's kind of flat. There's not much going on, at least not yet. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. I've got a big message today for every single crypto holder out there. This may be unpopular, but the crypto bull market has not even started yet. And here's the twist, though. It's already being fueled silently, globally, by monetary sleight of hand that most people don't even notice. So let me show you what's actually going on behind the scenes. Because while retail is arguing about ETFs and altcoin rankings and no altcoin bull market, the smart money is already watching the tide shift. Here's Matt Hogan on X. QE by any other name would smell as sweet. And what he's doing is reacting to this headline from Bloomberg. US plans to ease capital rule limiting banks' treasury trades. Translation: the US government is quietly opening the liquidity floodgates again. The only thing is they're just not calling it QE this time. This rule change lets big banks load up on treasuries without being penalized. It's QE through the back door. No press conference, no fanfare, but make no mistake, this is liquidity injection. Let's reinforce this from this quote from Reuters. The Federal Reserve will consider plans to ease leverage requirements on larger banks. Banks argue that the current rule limits lending and impedes their ability to operate efficiently in treasury markets. This isn't just technical banking talk. This is systemic liquidity expansion hiding in plain sight. Take a very good look at this chart right here. This is the US Federal Reserve's balance sheet. And you'll notice something strange. Even though they say they're running QT, the balance sheet is still sitting at like $6.68 trillion. There's been barely any tapering. It's like someone saying they're on a diet while secretly eating cake in the pantry at midnight. And the market knows it, or at least the market's starting to catch on. Now zoom out even further. Global M2 money supply is increasing again. China is pumping liquidity. The ECB is loosening. Even Japan, which has been a wild card for years, is softening its stance again. I mean, here's the quote straight from the Bank of Japan. We will conduct market operations in a flexible manner, considering financial conditions. Translation: more cash, more flow. The liquidity tide is returning on a global scale. But here's what gets me, and here's what gets all of you out there as well. Crypto hasn't moved. I mean, Bitcoin's still consolidating, but altcoins haven't run. And most people, they are still asleep at the wheel thinking it's never going to happen. And this is exactly the moment that you prepare. And if you think this is new, it's really not. Every major parabolic crypto run, every vertical move that you've seen Bitcoin in, or even altcoins, was preceded by the same kind of liquidity leak. Before the headlines call it QE, before CNBC rings the bell, you see it on TV, and way before the institutions officially step in. Everyone, this is the part in the movie where the fire has been lit, but it's still just a spark. The room is kind of quiet. You can barely hear the gas, but that fire is about to explode. Let me say this very plainly. They're trying to keep it quiet, but the system is getting juiced again. And when that spark hits crypto, it's going to be crazy. Right now, Bitcoin is like a compressed spring, risk scores resetting to neutral over and over again. Everyone's focused on ETFs, regulation headlines, even lawsuits, the SEC. But the macro backdrop is simply screaming liquidity, and crypto hasn't caught up yet. This is the opportunity zone, and it always has been. Let me break it down like this. The Fed is still bloated. The ECB is whispering stimulus. China is injecting cash. Japan is wobbling. And meanwhile, the average investor is on TikTok arguing about meme coins. This disconnect on a global scale is staggering, but it spells opportunity for anyone paying attention. Check this out. Critics argue that the SLR disincentivizes banks from holding safe assets like US treasuries. Proponents believe modifying the SLR could boost treasury demand, lower yields, and improve financial market liquidity. And that right there, improving liquidity, is the entire point. But not many people are calling it what it is. Look, I know people want the obvious signals. They want Powell to go on TV and say, we're starting quantitative easing. They want headlines screaming, liquidity's back. But here's the bottom line. When it's obvious and that obvious, it's already priced in. When CNBC is telling your uncle to buy Bitcoin, it's over. But this is the moment. This is where the smart money moves. Let me ask you this. Have you ever stood on the shore at the beach and you feel that sudden pull of the water? It drags out quietly and then boom, a wave hits. That's what global liquidity is doing right now. You can get that feeling, that pressure building, but the crypto wave has not hit yet. But it's coming. Here's something you don't hear enough. Crypto Slate published a piece comparing global M2 with a 90-day lead to Bitcoin's price movement. When adjusted for a 90-day lag, global M2 has sometimes foreshadowed turning points in Bitcoin's price. The chart shows an almost uncanny alignment. You see, that's the setup. Liquidity leads. Bitcoin and crypto follows. Raoul Pal said, expanding liquidity backs up to 90% of Bitcoin's price action and as much as 97% of the Nasdaq's performance. So you want price explosions? Follow the liquidity. And here's the final last thing I want to say. Do not be fooled by silence or flat charts or compression or consolidation. Don't wait for the bell to ring. This is stealth liquidity and it's happening right now. The banks know, the institutions know, the ones with capital, they're not guessing. They're preparing right now. So just ask yourself, are you sitting there waiting for some type of confirmation or are you preparing before it starts? Because when the match gets lit, this market is going to explode. At the end of the day, they tried to keep it quiet and they still are. But the liquidity is back. The system is shifting. And when the spark hits this dry forest of suppressed prices and disbelief, once again, it's going to explode. If you're ready for that, subscribe, like the video, stay focused. And if you're not in our intelligence system, check out our sale that we have going on right now, 40%. We're early. We're watching. We're waiting. And when this thing runs, we're going to be ready. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.